Welcome back to the channel, everybody. As you can see, we are finally at that point where we can start sheathing the floor, and lo and behold, the sun is out. It was really cold this day, but once the sun came out, man, did it feel good. You can see the frost on the roof there to the left. Now, before you get too judgy, just know this is Noah's very first floor that he has ever helped sheathe.
Yeah, try to catch up to me. Yeah, they stagger, 8 foot, then 4 foot.
Also, this video is sponsored by Huber Engineered Woods, the makers of Advantech. That's our subfloor there. Advantech Subfloor Adhesive. That is the glue that I'm putting down. Zip system, all that good stuff. Let's get down to it. First of all, I didn't film the very first row. It always takes the longest. We pull layout, we glue it, we nail it. Once that's done, now we can get into rhythm. Always start out with an 8-foot piece, then your next row 4 foot. Or if you want, you can reverse those, doesn't matter. But we do want to stagger our rows by 1/2 panel, according to our engineering. I think that's also on the APA's website. I think that's just best practice. I don't know. We're gonna go into our whole rhythm. This honestly, Kyle has sheathed a lot of floors. I've done way more than I care to count. Noah has done one. So really, we were pretty productive considering this was Noah's very first time. We had a nice, beautiful Friday. So we'll just show you some of the tips, tricks, and best practices for installing subfloor, regardless of the manufacturer.
Yeah, that's a little tight. I think we want to go a little more loose than that. I know it says an 8, but we just keep finding that they're kind of moving on us. Like, that's pretty good. I like this one. I'll leave this guy, but I think let's go just a little more open. Okay, and I feel like these look pretty straight. I think I can go with them.
If we do a good job with layout before we even install joists, and then we pull layout on that first row of subfloor, then everything should stay straight. Couple things real quick I want to point out. Notice on the right, our subfloor goes across to the top of our wall. We didn't have enough rim to fire stop, so we used 2x12. So that's why there's a gap between the subfloor and the 2x12. That doesn't matter because our cavity is fully fire stopped.
See, Timmy's not about to pick these sheets up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And then I think your 4-footer is going to work at the end, Noah.
From side to side.
Hey, so see what the
Do you have a nail?
see what it says?
Does that say self-spacing?
Yeah, and it says space panel is 1/8 of an inch.
Oh, okay.
So basically, that's a 16-penny nail.
Right, Barn?
Let's talk best practices. Obviously, we're gluing our subfloor down. When it comes to fastening, commonly it's felt the best practice is to screw the floor down, and I certainly do not disagree with that. However, I do think that's a little narrow-minded. I do agree with it, but let's expand it just a little bit. I'm nailing off right there with the Paslode TetraGrip nail. Now that TetraGrip nail is a deformed nail, meaning like a screw shank or a ring shank. Those are deformed nails. So the design of this nail and the coating on the nail are such that it holds essentially as well as a screw. But it's not a screw, it's a nail, which means that we can drive it more quickly. If you don't believe me, man, have them come out and do a demo with you. Try to pull the nails. It's unreal, the holding power on these nails. Second, notice the rhythm. 6 inches on the edges. You can see there in the foreground that we have little dots on the panel. And then throughout the field, either 16 or 24-inch spacing, we have dots or squares or triangles. I think that's for 19.2. Essentially, I'm trying to be within an inch of each end and then aim for about the dot. I'm also not breaking any speed records, but I'm not missing. It's nice and consistent. This means that we're going to get a high quality subfloor installation that doesn't take too long, doesn't cut corners, panels are gapped, all that good stuff. I'll revisit screwing a little bit later in the video. Fastening with screws. I think that sounds a little bit better.
So you go ahead and grab the next sheet.
It does say in the instructions for Advantech not to use a sledgehammer. Well, we got to get the panels in. Don't use a sledgehammer to beat them tight. That's the intent.
Yep, perfect. And then your job is just to stay ahead of me. I like it a lot.
I will say that one positive of the other glues on the market is that the panels do slide in a little bit more easily, because it's almost like, I don't know, that glue is almost like lubricant to the joist. The Advantech Subfloor adhesive does not offer that advantage. So you do have to hit the panels a little bit harder. You can see that we're already damaging the beater board. But again, gap the panel. That's the big thing. Then I'm tacking it with the Paslode as I go because I don't have to drag it through anything. Nice and easy. So basically the rhythm is glue the row, another person starts to pack panels, another person beats the panels in, and then another person starts to fasten the panels. We have about a 15 to 20 minute working time with the glue. So we want to make sure that we're getting these panels fastened. And so we've got a nice rhythm there. Honestly, the person who packs sheathing can go a whole lot faster than the person that's actually beating them in place, because he's going to take his time to make sure that the gaps are right. Anyway, there's a lot of overlap between all of this. Like I said before, this is our first time, all three of us, sheathing a floor together. So with each row, we just got a little faster. And with each house, we'll just get a little faster. And there you can see that I did break the the beater board. So it was time to rebuild it. Somebody on YouTube here about 3 years ago was like, hey, why don't you put a handle on that beater board? I've done this for, well, I mean, like, I was out helping the guys nail floors when I was in elementary school. True story. And nobody ever thought about putting a handle on a beater board. Time to move the drone for a little bit better view. Now you can see over that back garage wall where Kyle's at, we've got blocking between the joists. We're missing one block.
So
That's
Noah,
okay.
what you can do,
there's a beam there. 6 inches lower again, because we're going to pour a garage slab on top of that floor. And again, I will go through all of that in the future.
and since I'm walking down there, I'm gonna snag this bad boy. And then your job is to try and catch up to me. Ha ha. Which you probably will.
Here you can see that our LVL rim is in fact flush with the top of that wall. We were just a little short, so that's life. That's life. Also, when I'm putting the glue down,
All right, I think this
get
can
called
is
out for
about
this
done.
quite a bit. I don't care. I do not want the glue past the end of the panel, because then the beater board gets glue on it, and you know what else gets glue on it?
But who knows? I'd probably
Everything.
go farther than I
Your
think
clothes,
it
your
does.
hands. So I aim for about 6 inches short. Gasp. Does that mean that it's not going to work? Of course not. Of course not. Let's just think in terms of principles. Also, I'm going to revisit the fastening of the subfloor with screws issue. Like I mentioned, we're gluing, we're fastening with the TetraGrip. Ever since I was in high school and the first auto feed screw guns came out, in fact, it might have even been like 9th grade, junior high, it was my job to go in as the finished carpenters were finishing up and screw the floors down. Because we get a lot of rain here in the Pacific Northwest, that was just our way of ensuring that we didn't have squeaky floors later. So very likely, unless it's summertime, we are going to come in and screw the floor off later on when the house is dry. It'll either be me, Kyle, or Noah. Kind of just depends on who wants to do it that day. A couple hours with the Simpson Strong Tie stand-up auto feed screw gun. The reason why we use Strong Tie is because that screw is code listed as a replacement for a 10D nail. That means that if you're living in Southern California, your engineer requires you to use a 10D nail when you fasten subfloor panels for your floor diaphragm. You can, in fact, swap that out for the Strong Tie screw. So that's our thinking. It's a little bit more money. Yep, absolutely. But it is a whole lot cheaper than a callback. If I have to come from another job to come fix a squeak, Essentially, that takes up half your day unless you're next door. So it's just better just to do it and be done with it. Be done with it. Time for a glue change out. That's what I was doing in the foreground. Time for the next row.
All that she wants. Yeah. Whoa. Load. My question is, I got wide flanges. I don't know if I should. There we go. There we go.
Of course, our goal is to center that seam on the joist. That's always our goal. Pretty nice with 2 3/8 inch flanges. These are Roseburg eye joists, LVL top flanges for this section, because it spans from the wall that we're standing on all the way to the back. So if you count the rows, good Lord, that's 20 feet. I think I've been saying 19 feet in the other videos. So anyway.
I'm gonna have you boom out farther. Make it easy on ourselves.
You should be using a forklift. I mean, our floor install speed goes way up when you're not packing Advantech. Let the machine pack the Advantech. Anyway, and then use the machine to your advantage, right? Not just enough to get it onto the second floor, but let's go out and get it as close to where we need to go as possible. Now, if for those of you that are experienced, you notice that at our seam right there in front, the seam basically lands on that block line. That always gives us trouble. And you will see that gave us some trouble.
We'll cut a 4-footer for your side, Kyle. We don't have any more, do we? I haven't seen this movie since it came out. Bainbridge? Yeah.
Couple things to point out. I'm not using sawhorses, using the pile. The pile is a little too tall for me. This is how you cut without scoring the other panel. The depth is set. Okay, apparently I didn't show it. I'm gonna show it now. There we go. Just tilt the panel and then finish the cut. This is what short people do. I am a short people, so this is just what my people do. And no, it doesn't score the panel below. And if it did, it's like a scratch. I know. God forbid we scratch the panels. Well, we're going to be doing a lot of framing on these panels. Scratches are not our enemy. Now, one other thing to notice. Notice Noah's body mechanics. Yeah, not so good. I'm going to address that here in just a moment.
Proud, I would hit him as you go. One of us will put our knees on him. I was talking to Kyle, man. Straight up talking to Kyle, man. Ah. Why didn't you tell me there's a saw there? Why didn't you tell me I put the saw there?
Speaking of body mechanics, notice how I'm pulling the sheet off of the pile. I am working with the sheet. I'm not just brute force picking it up. I'm too old for that. And you know what? These sheets are heavy. That's why they're such a high quality subfloor. I was taught way back in the plywood days. I mean, way back. And what a hassle to install that stuff. Plywood? Why does anybody use plywood on a floor? Anyway.
Yeah.
Normally you don't want to drop sheets on the tongue because it can damage the tongue. That is not the case with this subfloor in my experience.
We're gonna fight this sheet. I'm not using this one. Go ahead and glue over there, yeah.
And that is the one sheet that I picked up. And I was like, why in the world did I pick this up? Yeah, we kind of make it a game. And we teach everybody that's new how to pull sheets off the pile without picking them up.
You want to be beating them in, Kyle? Huh? Yeah. If we get these two beat in and tacked, then I'll have him nail them. Hey, Noah, let me show you real quick. This is what I was taught with the old glue guns. If you stand like this, since you're right-handed, see how quick it is?
Yeah. Whoa.
No, pretty impressive.
Take the time to teach. It makes people's jobs easier. And then don't micromanage them. Let them figure it out. okay? This sheet, see, that's how you pull them off the pile. I never had to pick up the full weight of the sheet. Yes, I know there's people that are like, that's why you're getting fat
I
and
know,
you're
if you need
lazy and
help.
all of that.
I was
Well,
a little bit worried about.
it might be why I'm getting fat. Also, it's wintertime, and, it's like I'm like a bear in the winter. Second, guess who will have fewer injuries as they age?
I feel like
That's
I'm gonna
right.
end up with that
The
sledgehammer.
chubby guy that
No way.
wasn't picking the sheets.
I think we're in partly fighting those blocks.
Nah, I'm just, in every video, you're going to hear me address that. Take care of your body. And if you are the foreman or the person in charge, take care of your guys' bodies. They'll appreciate it. I guarantee you that we can get our floors down faster than your crew that are dancing all over and it's a higher quality installation. So slow is smooth, smooth is fast, people. If we're going to use expensive subfloor like Advantech, then let's install it right. Okay, anyway, off the soapbox. Back to the sheet that I told you we were going to have trouble with. Yep. So here's how you do it. Sometimes it's just what it is it's just the blocks. If you know, you know. If you don't know, well, I hope you never have to learn it, but this is how you take care of it. You just prop the sheet up just a little bit, and that just helps the tongue glide into the groove. We're not going to have a big hump in the floor. But just sometimes with blocks, that's just the way it goes. You've got proud nails. Maybe there's a slight discrepancy in the block height between the joist height, whatever. This is real life, people. This, what was the old thing from, whatever. I lost it. What was the old tagline from Real World?
You're getting it.
When people stop being
Couple
nice
more.
and start being, when subfloor stops being nice
All right, we're gonna call
and
that.
starts being real. Real world. Awesome framers jobs.
I'm not gonna worry about the gap there. Yeah, that looks fine. Now I think if we go and blitz that, you can nail that guy off, Noah.
Incidentally, one thing just to point out is I've got a T-square. That's a 54-inch heavy-duty drywall T-square. And by heavy-duty, it's just not like the real thin ones that you can use on drywall. I think it's 3/16 thick. I don't remember who makes it. Yeah, see, it actually takes quite a bit of abuse. This is only the second one that we've had in 20 years. The other one we still have, but it's pretty faded, and at this point, it's out of square. What I'm going to start doing in the future, I just got the Milwaukee track saw. We have the Makita, but the Milwaukee track saw, anyway, it's new, like what, 3 or 4 years newer than our old one. And I've got the adapter so that I can just set it on the sheet square, and then we'll save any marking, any of that. Anyway, we'll come back to that in the future. Stay tuned. You're not going to want to miss the riveting footage of the Milwaukee track saw.
Go to this guy. That way this guy hangs out. Yeah.
See, Noah's getting the technique down. Our job as the experienced people on the site is to pass our knowledge on to everyone else on our crew. Now, there's a variety of reasons for that. One, we got to pay it forward. We need more people in the trades. So don't make their job harder by not teaching them all the little tips and tricks that make it easier. Second, the less supervision that they need and the more confidence that we have in them, the better it is for us, maybe as the business owner, but it's also better for them. They gain self-confidence. When you can put confidence and trust in them, that builds their self-worth. It's like all of this stuff is tied together. To me, one of the beautiful things about working in construction is that as a crew, we develop our own identity, increases our self-worth. We have all the inside jokes. It's the same thing in the military, in like a small unit. It's just true across the board, right? So let's embrace that. Let's build that. It's not that we're mental health counselors or anything like that, but I think of being a teenager and the self-esteem that I had working with the guys, and I just thought it was so cool. And when you do something right and you're part of the team, you've like endured the weather together, all of that stuff. So there's my life lesson for this video.
Okay. Yeah, I think this guy's ready. Yeah. I love it when it pinches. Feel it, feel it.
And it was at this point that we decided as a crew, let's just call it a day. We could easily finish, but over there to the right where the blocks are, we have to fill that with rigid insulation before we sheathe over it. It's 2 o'clock on a Friday. I couldn't come in on Monday. I wanted to leave the guys with work, and the reason I couldn't come in on Monday is because now at 45, it was time for me to have my first colonoscopy. So, yeah, that was fun. And it turns out the guys got snowed out on Monday. So anyway, normally we do not want to leave the floor unfinished, right? It's just, don't do that. But part of pre-planning or planning for the next week's work is making sure that the guys have work if I can't be there. And so leave them with stuff that you know they can do. Also, when you're not around, it lets them figure things out. I don't know about you, but I remember when I first started actually being in charge, all of a sudden I second-guessed everything I did. And you kind of just have to work through a lot of that yourself without people putting you under pressure like they're watching you. Let them figure it out. And then if they end up with questions, they can ask you questions. You can answer those questions. All of this time training, it pays off. So anyway. In the foreground, notice that the sheets are run long. We have to frame underneath that for a bearing wall above to transfer. Anyway, we'll get into all of that in the future. Thank you all for watching. Just remember, I'm not trying to post this stuff as though you should be doing it this way. Learn what you can, take it, adapt it, improve it. When you improve it, let me know how you improved it so that I can copy you. This is how we all get better. Thanks for watching, everybody.